basically, this would just take such a Southern delicacy that is such a profound heritage in the state of Georgia, beginning with the Native Americans and on through our cuisine over the last 200 plus years. Making cornbread the state bread will solidify our position in the nation as one of the best culinary places to visit.
You can find the best Brunswick stew down in South Georgia and, of course, down on the coast. So I'm going to ask for your favorable consideration. It goes with many things, whether it's biscuits, crackers, and especially cornbread.
With crossover day less than a week away, both chambers still have a lot to do. But House members today dealt with a couple of tasty issues still on their plates, voting to make cornbread and Brunswick stew official Georgia dishes. Good evening and welcome to Lawmakers. It's day 23 of the legislative session. I'm Donna Lowry in Atlanta. We hear a lot about the jobs of the future, but how do we prepare for them now? Georgia is trying to get a handle on that by determining which jobs need the most talent in the state. We'll talk about those jobs and how the state wants to make sure today's students are ready for them. Also, if you're considering solar energy for your home or business, we'll learn what legislation they're considering at the Capitol to help with that industry in Georgia. But as always, we start by getting a rundown of the day's news under the Gold Dome from Capitol correspondent Sarah Callis.
Hi, Donna. The Senate debated additions to this year's budget on day 23. In the Senate, the budget was the big news as they took a look at HB 67, the House's supplemental 2024-2025 budget. The Senate made their changes in the substituted bill. One thing that had major impact on both versions of the budget, last year's storms, specifically Hurricane Helene. Funds were shifted from a variety of programs and earmarks to help pay for the $750 million needed for storm cleanup.
So the Senate's budget takes $10 million that was added by the House, adds $15 million to it in the Department of Community Affairs for individuals, victims of the storm, who through no fault of their own, nonetheless are still awaiting claims to be adjudicated or claims that were denied. And because of that, have the only thing between their beds and the outside elements at night being a blue tarp they were delivered 151 days ago.
Other budget line items included education, public libraries, and infrastructure.
At the Department of Education, we did find some savings in contracts and personnel, some other savings in the cost for our testing program, and then savings related to travel. We agree with the House and Governor, however, concerning school security safety grants at $50 million, which now would create for this year almost $70,000 in school safety grants per school.
And Georgians can still expect a tax refund this year.
At the Department of Revenue, the Senate agreed with the House and Governor to refund $250 per individual and $500 to married couple for those who've paid taxes, income taxes to our state. I think that's a really big deal, and you should give yourself a pat on the back if you want to, I guess, for that. But we have more there to do.
But one senator says that more should have been done to eliminate the state's debt.
I loved when the chairman said, ask and you shall receive on that deal with paying off bonds. I loved when the distinguished rules chairman asked the question about bonds, because finally we're moving in the right direction in this budget in the sense that we're at least paying off something with $60 million. But we're still $10 billion in debt, so $60 million is a pretty small amount.
Democrat Elena Parent questioned if more investment in building storm-resistant infrastructure would be more beneficial.
Georgia needs to do a better job in being intentional about being prepared for these now no longer unusual weather events, investing money in that infrastructure up front so that we can be more resilient, so that the damage is less, and so that we can get people and businesses back up on their feet faster.
The bill was passed 55-1 and sent back to the House. SB 79 was also passed, increasing the sentence for fentanyl trafficking.
If other drugs are a BB gun, that fentanyl is a nuclear bomb. And I mean, honestly, it's kind of the truth. If you can look it up yourself, you look at the amount of people that died in the bombings at Hiroshima and Nagasaki, we lose about that many Americans every year to fentanyl.
A convicted trafficker could serve up to 35 years, depending on the quantity. Meanwhile, the House passed over a dozen bills as the countdown to crossover day continues. Some of the most notable include Ethan's Law, a bill that would prohibit judges from requiring a child to attend family reunification camp in another state.
It is heart-wrenching and traumatic for these children to be sent to these reunification camps, and they're allowed to have no contact with the parent that they are living with, fearing probably that that parent has abandoned them. This is just a bridge too far for me. And then the other one that's important is not sending them out of state.
Another bill, HB 171, would criminalize using AI to depict a nude or otherwise obscene image of a child.
These AIs, to make everyone clear, they're trained on the faces of our children and our grandchildren. They're taken from photographs and videos that these criminals obtain online. Under HB 171, we'll address these crimes directly by making the distribution of AI-generated obscene material depicting children a felony offense, punishable with prison term. This bill serves as a strong deterrent against the exploitation of AI technology to create and distribute such harmful material.
It also includes protections for disabled adults and victims of stalking, and passed unanimously. HB 156 puts a definition of vertiport infrastructure for air taxis into code in Georgia.
What these vertiports are, they will effectively, what we're looking to do is create lily pads, not just in metro Atlanta, but all around the state, allowing us to be able to hop in different places. Those rides could be as short as 3-5 miles. They could be as long as 20 miles, but effectively giving us an opportunity to lift traffic off of the roads and put it into the air. They take off and land very similar to a helicopter, but they fly fixed wing like an airplane.
And finally, on the House's plate, a bill to designate cornbread as the official state bread.
Baby, it's back. It's a reunion tour. Wake up out there, people. Glad to have this bill in front of you today. Basically, this would just take such a Southern delicacy that is such a profound heritage in the state of Georgia, beginning with the Native Americans and on through our cuisine over the last 200 plus years. Making cornbread the state bread will solidify our position in the nation as one of the best culinary places to visit.
And Brunswick stew as the official state stew. Both bills passed with little opposition. Tomorrow is African Diaspora Day at the Capitol, when lawmakers return for day 24. That's my Capitol report. Donna?
Thanks, Sarah. Georgia is working to connect what kids are learning in school with the jobs in the workforce. The job market shifts so often that it can be tough to predict which jobs will even exist 5 or 10 years down the road in Georgia. To tackle this challenge, the Georgia legislature took action last year to have the state publish an annual list of high-demand careers. The first high-demand career initiative list includes jobs in the areas you see listed on the screen. Everything from aerospace and agribusiness to education and energy and an environment, life sciences, logistics, and manufacturing. It's a long list. This year, there's an effort to further strengthen top talent in Georgia, and joining us to talk about it is Republican Representative Matthew Gambill of Cartersville. He's Vice Chair of the Economic Development and Tourism Committee. Also with us is Republican Representative Bethany Ballard of Warner Robins. She is Vice Chair of Special Rules. Welcome to Lawmakers, both of you. Thanks for being here. Let's talk a little bit about this. You, Representative Gambill, give us the background on this high demand career initiative from last year. Tell us a little bit about that for people who may not know.
Sure. So last year we passed House Bill 982, which designated the State Workforce Investment Board as the entity for maintaining the list of high-demand careers in our state. Up to this point, the lists that were out there were several, and they weren't all matching each other. And so our bill last year provided the clarity that we needed and gave them the flexibility to change those careers because we know that those careers can change. And again, places that authority with the State Workforce Investment Board to determine that.
Yeah, so tell people where they can find it. With the Technical College of Georgia actually has the list too, right?
That's correct. The State Workforce Investment Board is administratively attached to the Technical College system, and so that list is posted on their website and can be found on the internet.
Okay, so talk about it. You see the value in this too.
Absolutely. We need to prepare our children to do whatever they want to do when they get out of high school, but they need to be armed with the facts of what is going to be a high needs career field so that they can go in that armed with that knowledge.
Yeah, and a lot of parents like to know exactly what their kids might be getting into. Representative Gambill, you're looking to build on that move last year with House Bill 192, which is connected to Georgia Match, which people may not understand a little bit, but it helps high school students, graduates, and college graduates a little bit understand. It matches them up with the right colleges for what they want to do, right?
That's right. This is the second year of the inception of our Georgia Match program, and so what our bill this year does is it puts the match program into the state law, into code, and every year our high school seniors will receive a letter from the state that will notify them of the institutions they're eligible for admission at in our university system and our technical colleges in the state. And it's a really remarkable thing that we're doing now. It's amazing that we hadn't been doing it up to now, but we're doing it now, and so our students will know where they can go and further their education, whether that's with a certificate, an associate's, or a 4-year degree at one of our colleges here in the state of Georgia.
I also like that it takes the guesswork off for parents, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Right. Yeah, it allows them to kind of figure it out. Representative Ballard, you want to, excuse me, better prepare students for jobs by requiring students to take computer science and make that required before they graduate.
Yes. Our world is not getting less technological, and so we need to make sure that we arm our children with all the skills that they need to go forward. And every career field has seems to have a tech component these days. So my bill will mandate that as a graduation requirement, and other states have put this forward. And one of the amazing things that other states have discovered is that young women are entering tech and STEM fields by over 100% more than they were before. It's like we introduce our young women to it in college or in high school, and then they discover they love it and pursue it in college.
I think the thing is they have access to computers. It's in they have their phones and tablets and the whole bit. But actually taking a course and learning about it is a whole different ball game for a lot of them.
And they learn a little bit about what goes into building a computer, just some coding, the software aspect. They also learn the ethical use of technology, which is an important thing that we need to instill in all of our young people.
So where's your bill right now?
I am waiting for it to be heard in committee, and I'm hoping that it gets heard before crossover.
And if it were to pass, it wouldn't be like next year.
No.
You're talking what, 20?
It would start the 2031 school year. So our schools would have a long time to prepare that.
Okay. I want to get back to that list of different jobs, and one of them that surprised me had to do with the car repair industry. Apparently, nationwide, repairing cars is a good job for people.
Absolutely, and if you talk to anyone in that industry, whether it's the manufacturers that we have, been able to recruit to our state, or the automobile dealers, you can make a very good living working as an auto tech at one of our dealerships across the state. Talking to the Georgia Auto Dealers Association, that's been something that they have been very vocal about, and making sure that our students are aware of those opportunities that exist when it comes to the automotive world, and then of course really all of those high demand careers. That's what we want these students to know about and to pursue pathways that lead them to those careers in the high demands.
And what you can see on that list is what it will take to get where you want in those jobs.
That's exactly right.
And that means a lot. Let's talk a little bit about another bill that you have, and it deals with students with dyslexia who can fall through the cracks. Talk about that a little bit.
So we have been working the past several years to make sure we identify students with dyslexia and identify them early, like kindergarten, first grade, right when they're learning those reading skills. So this year we are adding dyslexia to the Early Literacy Act that passed 2 years ago. And the screening tools that we will use to assess children's reading will also be used to assess if they have characteristics of dyslexia or dyslexia.
Wow. So this would be building on what you did before. Mm-hmm. Where does that bill stand right now? You're getting close, right?
It should be in Rules Committee tomorrow.
Tomorrow, so we should see something on that. And I know there's a lot of demand for something on this. It's like once you guys had the bill a few years ago, people are recognizing how important it is to focus on dyslexia in our schools.
And, so many people have come to me at the Capitol in my community back home to say that they struggle with dyslexia, or their children or grandchildren struggle with dyslexia. And so I really feel like it has empowered people to really become open about it and talk about it. And I think that that's wonderful, because we can't fix a problem until we identify it and face it head on.
Yeah, the stigma isn't there as much as it used to be. I want to talk a little bit about, so we're talking about this top tier talent now. Mm-hmm. So what's the next step, you think, after this? What you've done last year, what you hope will pass this year?
Well, it's, again, this is the second year of focusing on the high demand careers as a part of the governor's legislative package. And we've built upon last year's bill. We've now expanded it. We've included the match. And, we're looking at the apprenticeships that are connected to a lot of these careers as well. One thing that's been discussed is the possibility of including our private Georgia colleges on the match list as well. Right now, it's just the university system colleges and the technical colleges. But, if a student lives in Rome and they know that Georgia Northwestern is an option and Georgia Highlands is an option, should we also mention to them that Shorter and Berry are also options for them to just at least know about and consider as they're trying to be informed in that process. So there's a lot of different things that we can add to and improve on this. But the main thing is that we're having very good conversations with students early on about what careers exist and the opportunities that are in those different careers.
And that gives them goals. It's something for them to reach for.
Absolutely.
Okay. I want to talk about another bill that you have, and that is HB 475. And that deals with an income tax credit for film, gaming, or digital production. So explain how that's different from what we know exists in the film industry in terms of tax credit.
Right, and of course we've had that credit for a while, and my bill is not focused on necessarily changing or expanding that film tax credit. This bill is focused on cleaning up, clarifying, and confirming that the Department of Economic Development is the state agency responsible for promulgating the rules as associated with the film tax credit. It cleans up antiquated language that we no longer really use anymore, like laser discs and things like that. And then it also clarifies on new terminology like subscription-based services that was not originally in the initial film tax credit language. So our bill is clarifying that, putting some guardrails around the film tax credit. Also, if a company applies for the film tax credit and then appeals the decision of the Department of Economic Development all the way to the administrative court and they lose, they're responsible for the legal fees associated with appealing to that point. So that's one thing that we're changing, again, to try to put some guardrails around the film tax credit and make sure that we're being wise stewards of the taxpayers' dollars and being mindful of how the tax credit is administered in our state.
And the film industry was part of that list you had too, right?
Yes, they're supportive of our legislation and know that it's something good that we need to put these guardrails around, and I'm excited to be able to carry the bill.
Yeah, so you're both feeling good about your bills in the next few days. We've got to get really things rolling in the next few, we'll see. We'll keep everybody informed on your bills. Thanks so
Absolutely.
Much, both of you, for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. So, coming up, we'll continue talking workforce issues as we focus on one of the fastest growing job sectors, solar energy. 2 lawmakers join us to talk about bills that will help solar energy boost Georgia's economy. This is Lawmakers on GPB.
Georgia Farm Bureau, a grassroots organization dedicated to preserving Georgia agriculture. Farm Bureau advocates for all Georgia farmers at the state capitol during the session and year-round. Georgia Farm Bureau, the voice of Georgia farmers.
It's good to have everyone back together.
Good news indeed.
Put your feet up a minute.
It's beautiful.
How does that sound to you, man?
It's what I love doing.
Cup of tea.
I was thinking more a double whiskey.
Hurry up! Freshly baked biscuits, always.
Well, this is all proving rather cozy, isn't it?
Understanding the past gives a sense of the future. This is the first time that anyone has seen this in 2,000 years.
This is amazing.
Well, I'm excited now.
Pompeii is a battle against time.
You think I'm joking, but look at this. It did really happen.
Don't let anybody tell you who you are.
History teaches us to honor the past.
When you look back, you're like, wow, that was pretty special.
This is something that's actually altering the course of history.
You're charged with keeping these stories alive.
Welcome back to Lawmakers. I'm Donna Lowry. Georgia's solar energy sector is booming. The Solar Energy Industries Association ranks Georgia 7th for total solar capacity. There are 250 solar companies in the state, 50 manufacturers, 87 installers and developers, and 113 other companies. Georgia has more than 5,600 solar jobs and ranked 14th in the country in 2023. So, joining us to talk about solar energy and more is Republican Representative Beth Camp of Concord. She chairs Intergovernmental Coordination. And Democratic Representative Spencer Frye of Athens. His committees include appropriations and creative arts and entertainment. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
So we're going to talk solar energy here, a little bit at that Chair Camp. What more should we know about solar energy than some of those statistics that I brought up?
Well, just that solar is really a viable option moving forward in the future. The sun shines all the time. Whether we harness that energy or not, it's something that is available to us free. I believe in Georgia it's around 280 days a year. So it's a great opportunity. And we have a lot of large-scale solar in Georgia. What I've been working on is more of a small-scale solar, more of a community solar. Because you're not going to put a 300-acre large-scale solar project in a neighborhood or, down a road maybe with a blighted piece of property. But it's a perfect location for community solar to add just a little bit more energy to the grid where it's needed most.
And you have a bill that focuses on that.
I do, HB 507. And I was very fortunate. I had an ad hoc committee last year. We had 2 wonderful meetings. We met for a total of about 6.5 hours to discuss all of the issues involved. So I'm hopeful that we will be able to hear that bill in committee soon.
Okay. So when we'll get you to talk a little bit more about it in a moment, because I don't understand how it works. Would it be in a community, like in your subdivision, or how would it work?
Well, that's a great question. Right now in Georgia, if you have on your own property, you can have all the solar panels you want. But there are many Georgians who live in apartments or neighborhoods where it's really prohibited or it just would not work on a smaller lot size. You can't share power right now. But this would allow for capital investors to come in and create this infrastructure that would add to our grid, and then it would let maybe you or I subscribe to that program and maybe save a little bit on our power bills.
Okay, I love that, hearing that. All right, Representative Frye, you've signed on to this bill, and you've also signed on to Representative Eric Bell's bill that will prohibit homeowners associations from preventing property owners from putting in solar panels. So talk about that a little bit.
Well, I think that there's about 2 million of our folks living in HOAs right now, and not saying that all HOAs are prohibiting solar, but that's it's almost 1/5 of our population that may not have access to solar. And so I'm all for Americans being able to do what they want to do. And if it doesn't concern life, health, or safety, then I want the government to get out of the way. And we should be able to use solar as much as and as often as we want to. This is the land of the free. So let's make things free.
So some of the homeowners associations may not agree with that because it may change the look of the subdivision. And then, you're putting solar panels maybe in your front yard.
That's right. But there are ways that we can get around those types of restrictions, in the idea that I live in a historic district in Athens. And so we have certain rules that will show maybe you're not putting the solar on the house in the best way. But if you do want to make that investment, you are allowed to, as long as it doesn't affect the facade or the front roof line at all, right? So we can put them on the back of the house, even if it's not the best. But it's still having that option, I think, is important.
Okay. What do you think of that?
Well, I think that creativity is going to be what's going to facilitate solar in the future, honestly. I remember, eons and eons ago, these huge solar panels on homes. Now, something, the size of this square of glass can power a house in an emergency for a short period of time. So I think the technology will continue to improve, and there are a lot of options. The solar panels don't necessarily have to be on the front yard or even on the roof. There are other options. Perhaps there's a piece of property that's, for one reason or another, a lot is not really a home building lot. And, even on a walking trail to have a few here and there, there's some opportunities where it would not be an eyesore to the community.
The key for you is that it's homegrown, like it's something that's coming out of Georgia, right?
Exactly. And I'm very excited for what the future of solar will be, because I really feel like the people in Georgia deserve to have some opportunities to save a little bit on their bill and feel good about what they're doing with renewable energy.
Okay, you also have a bill, HB 402, that would provide for standard goals for the Public Service Commission when it comes to solar energy. Talk about that briefly.
And so this bill basically puts a guideline to get the PSC to create a renewable energy portfolio standard. It doesn't make anybody do anything except for 5 people in the state of Georgia, and so it's 5 elected PSC office holders. And it's a voluntary program, but what I want to do is measure the efficiency of alternative fuel sources versus bringing fuel in from external sources. About almost 50% of our natural gas is sourced from places within the United States. I feel really comfortable about that, but the majority of it comes from the Gulf of Mexico, or whatever they're calling it right now. I'm not sure. And we don't know who owns that gas, and foreign entities have manipulated our economy through our power generation and our fuel sources for decades, since before I was born. First one happened in about the 60s. Obviously, we know in 1974, I believe, with the gas crisis in the Middle East. And they've been doing it ever since. And I was riding in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia one time with Fawaz El-Fawazim, and Fawaz said, "You Americans pay too little for your gasoline. In 10 years, you're going to be paying it $5 a gallon." In 1996, gas was $1.20. 12 years later, it raised up to $4.50 in California. And you can look it up. That's manipulation of our economy through foreign sources that don't have our best interests at heart.
I'm smiling because I bet you have lots of stories. I can tell.
I have lots of stories, but that's for real. That happened.
No, I get it.
That's
that's
stuff we got to pay attention to.
Sure. No, I do have to ask you. I know that the Trump administration seems to be pulling a little away from solar energy. So what is your response to that, especially with so much happening in Georgia?
Well, I think that the ball has begun to roll, and that the fair market, the capitalism, people recognize diversity is great. Spencer Frye yesterday in committee made the comment, if you have a portfolio, do you put all of your money into one stock? And the answer is no. So I think the diversification and the potential of what solar can do to help the Georgia economy and the Georgia citizens ultimately is going to be what the driving force is, whether there's federal support or not.
Okay, I want to get something else in real quick. You have a bill that HB 134 that deals with mobile homes and the manufacture and a sales tax exemption. Can you talk about that briefly?
I will. And Representative Frye sponsored that bill with me last year.
I love this cooperation.
Oh, yes, definitely.
We work together well.
We do. We serve on Ways and Means together, so we have a lot of conversations. But this is a fabulous bill to me because we have a workforce housing issue. A manufacturing home can be ready in a matter of months, and it can be placed anywhere where there can be a well or septic, or there's public and water and sewer. So really, the sky's the limit. It's up to the locals regarding zoning, but of course, that manufactured home could be around the Hyundai plant or anywhere else that it's needed pretty quickly. And unfortunately, these individuals, it was a barrier of entry because they were paying more in state sales tax than anybody else.
We're going to have to leave it there, I'm sorry. But we're going to have you come back and talk a little bit more about it. But thank you so much for that. Thank you both for coming, and thank you for agreeing on everything today. I appreciate that.
It happens.
That does it for Lawmakers Today. We'll be back tomorrow to talk to members of the Georgia Legislative Black Caucus about their largest caucus in the nation. Have a good night.